Okay, good evening, everyone, or hello, because I don't know what time of day you're going to be listening to this. So welcome to Creating Calm Clarity for Success on Your Terms. Now, this is part 2. I did part 1 last month. For those of you who were here for that, that's wonderful. But if you weren't, I will share the link to the recording in the chat box when I finish this session, so that you can listen back to it and gain some more knowledge for yourself, maybe work through part 1 and part 2 in your own time. So thank you very much. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Rosemary Wilson. I'm a consult of Internations. I've been a member of Internations for, I think, about 7 years, but I've been a consul for maybe 5 years. I'm a consul for the Londoners of All Nations and the London Inspired Women's Group. And then recently I've been a consul for the Global Development Group as well. So if you are on LinkedIn, if you are on LinkedIn and you want to connect with me, then you can use the QR code there, use your phone and connect with me. If you want to, that's entirely up to you. What do I do? Outside of Internations, I am a speaker, a coach, mentor, facilitator, and I had my first book published this year in January this year, which is wonderful. So something really positive that's happened to me during this difficult time. So in my day job, I primarily work one-to-one with women, mid-career women who want to celebrate and recognize their abilities with ease. So maybe they don't feel so confident, they're struggling with something in their work or their role, and they want some help to really find themselves, find their truth, and empower themselves. So that's my primary role. And I also run workshops and talks for organizations who want to support their people talent, whilst supporting as well a culture of diversity and inclusion, which is obviously very important to me. So that's just a little bit about me. So just a recap for last month's session 1, I talked about what success means to you. I don't think you can come to these sessions without answering that question, what success means to you. I talked about how you can change some of your perspectives around success, your decision-making, what's right for you, especially when it comes to your own success, what's important to you. And I shared some practical tools for, garnering your own success. So today, I'm still going to ask the question, what does success mean to you? And I'll ask you that in a second. I'm going to talk about belief cycles, so your self-belief and belief cycles, self-talk, which is really important. What are the things that you say to yourself? I'm going to tap into your inner wisdom. I'm going to talk a little bit about your inner wisdom, and I'll again share some practical tools and tips that you can do after the session has ended to help you on your journey. And then at the end, we'll open up for a Q&A. So the first question I have for you, if you can put the answer in the chat box, what does success mean to you? So your personal version of success, what does it mean to you? Is it material? Is it about family? Is it about learning? What does success mean to you? So just put your answer in the chat box. I'd love to hear your comments and what you've got going on for you. What does success mean to you? Okay, make a lot of money, achieving my own goals, putting the idea to work, feeling of accomplishment, learning to become better every day. Just going to bring my mic a little bit closer. Oops. Balance of both personal and professional and personal endeavors. Okay, wonderful. Great, success. Fulfilling dreams, living the life I want to. Okay, so a lot of these are mainly around your well-being. Well, I say well-being, your own yourself. They're not a lot of them are about money and the material things generally. Being accountable and having a balanced life in every area. Yeah, that's great. Challenge yourself first, then life to get your goals. Being accepted. Wonderful. Thank you very much for those comments. They're all really quite remarkable and very different, some of them. There's only a few of them that you talk about financial and money situations. So just so you know, today I'm not going to teach you how to make $1 million. That's not what this is about, because success, people think success means how can I become a millionaire? How can I buy a fast car? How can I buy a yacht? That's not what I'm about. So if that's something you're looking for today, that's not where my heart wants to serve you. So yeah, I get peace to your soul, very important. So these things are quite important to me. So I come from the point of I've got a thing that if you are I don't want to swear, if you are not a particularly nice person without money and you get money, then your behaviors are amplified, so then you become even worse. So I'm all about working on yourself first, and then if you want material things, then do that afterwards or alongside. But I think it's really important to work on yourself as well. That's a personal opinion. You may have a different one, which is all fine. So generally, when people talk about their success targets, it's from one of these areas, from a high level. It's about your career, your relationships, either your love relationships or your family, your health, the environment that you live in. And when I say environment as well, it's not just your home, but your body, your mind, your body and your soul, your environment, your internal environment and your external environment. And, finances obviously quite often plays a part in success, and having time to do the things that you want to do. So for those people who said, I want to be able to live the life that I want to, time is also important. So generally, the responses that come back to me are in one of those categories. So a little bit more self-reflection for you. And I like this one because it really tells me a lot about you, and it tells me a lot about myself. So when you see yourself as experiencing success, where are you? What are you doing? And who are you with? I love these 3 questions. They're really quite wonderful. So I'm going to share mine. So when I think about success, I've had a wonderful, amazing career. I was in finance for many years, leadership roles, and I used to work in oil and gas, but I wanted to have my own business and really help and serve other people to be the best version of themselves. So for me, having this business means a little bit of freedom. So when I live in London at the moment, and when I say, where am I? When I experience success means, having things on an automation, working with having some things automated in my business. But the other thing is talking to people, having a few really special clients. And where am I? I'm in a Mediterranean climate. I'm no longer in London because it's a little bit cold here. I am in a Mediterranean climate, somewhere maybe Spain or France, south of France or something like that. What am I doing? I see myself with this really big, long table surrounded by family and friends and new friends that I've made and neighbors. So who am I with also fits in there. So what am I doing? I am serving my friends and family, giving them good food, wine, there's some dancing, there's music, there's love. And that's my version of success. So it's material in a way, but it's a little bit bigger than that. So those are the types of things that you can come up with, but your version is your version. So when you see yourself experiencing success, what are you doing? Can you imagine that? Is that something that you can think about, or is it too big a question for you today? Maybe you are where you are. Maybe you're doing what you are doing now. Yeah. So where are you physically, mentally? Are you in your home office? Are you, I don't know, on a boat? Are you in the garden? When you see yourself as experience the success that you want, where are you? What are you doing? And who are you with? No worries if you can't think about it. But if you can't think about it, but take a screenshot and do this question afterwards if it doesn't come immediately. Yeah, that's a great one. Warm climate, feeling at peace, not stressed, and with people that I care about me and I care about them. Yeah. At home in the garden. Yeah, I like that. With the earth in your, either in your toes or in your hands, just nurturing, or I don't know, as well, or sitting in the garden, working from home, a lovely tropical island in the company of loved ones. Oh, I like that. I want to come too. So fabulous. See yourself traveling. Oh, wonderful. Okay, that's great. Thank you very much. There's some great responses there. Florence, facilitating arts, like-minded individuals from diverse backgrounds. That also sounds wonderful. Can I come too? Fabulous. Thank you so much. And just whilst you're still thinking, I'll come back and read that in a second. But what I want to talk to you about is belief cycles. So when people want something in life, there are things that stop them, and things that hold them back, or things that don't hold them back. They really go for it, depending on your type of personality. But generally, people who are experiencing a great amount of success, they fix their beliefs in a way that serves them, that helps them, that nurtures them towards this success. So this is something for you if you are maybe a little bit struggling with going after what you want, or you want to figure out what else you can do to really motivate yourself and improve yourself on different levels. So when you talk about belief cycles, what usually happens is we have these beliefs in our mind. We think something to be true, and sometimes it is true and sometimes it's not. And what happens is you have an experience, and during this experience, something happens to you. It's either a good outcome or a not so good outcome, but you form a memory of this thing that's happened. And once I go through this, I'll give you an example. And that memory and that experience, that helps you to form a belief about the world or things around you. And then you have this belief, so you start looking for evidence to confirm the belief that you've held to be true. And then from there, you make decisions based on the belief. So you take action for or against what you believe to be true. I'll explain this in a second. And then your behavior dictates what you believe to be true. So I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. So I remember when I went traveling a while ago, and when I came back, I had to look for a new job. I'd left my job and I wanted to look for a new job. And when I came back, I've always had amazing interviews. I've never had a problem having really good interviews and then being able to choose different roles. When I had this experience, I don't know what happened to me, but I felt really uncomfortable and really nervous. So I had this experience of a really bad interview. The feedback was, I was good at what I did, but I seemed to be really nervous and I didn't answer the questions fully. That was the feedback I received. But in my mind, it was a totally shockingly bad interview, because I'd never performed like that. I wasn't performing at my best. So I committed that interview to my memory, telling myself that I was bad at interviews. So I now formed this belief that I wasn't good at interviews. And I started looking for evidence. So the next time I went to another interview, I had the first interview in my head and I screwed the second one up really badly. Really, it got worse. So I had this evidence and I based my decision on this evidence that had happened. I started basing, I'm bad at interviews. That's the decision I had made in my head, which then affected my behavior. So this is a cycle of behaviors that can happen. And for a long time, I literally, my top lip would quiver when I went into an interview, because I just had this memory of these experiences. So what had actually happened is I started, it was a self-fulfilling prophecy. I decided that I was bad at interviews, and then I started behaving in that way. So sincerely, I was bad at interviews because that's what I believed to be true. So that's belief cycles. Quite often, we go through life making a decision in our head and we don't even realize we're doing it. And then everything plays out to that decision that you've made. So if you've got something going on for you that's not quite working out, maybe look back at what you're doing, and maybe you're not quite believing in yourself enough. You formed a belief about yourself that isn't true, and you need something to make a change or a trigger that behavior. Yeah, so someone says, I've had the exact same thing happen to them. And first, believe in yourself, vision where you want to go. And you're talking about, okay, and there's, a few more people sharing where they are. So that's just, I want to talk about belief. So that's belief cycle. So look back at your life or your thing, what you're doing now. And is there something that's hindering you, that you've created a belief that isn't true, that is limiting you from really going after what you want? Perhaps that's something, that's happening to you. So what are some of the beliefs that you hold that might be blocking you? There was a gentleman on this session last month, and he said he was constantly self-sabotaging himself, and what he had was a fear of, it seemed to be a fear of success. He became overwhelmed that if he became good at what he did or what he wanted to do, he wouldn't be good enough and he wouldn't be able to manage it. So he had this belief that he wouldn't be great, so he kept self-sabotaging himself, because he said he wanted success. He wanted to start his own business, I think it was, or he had these great professional ideas, but then he kept sabotaging himself before it happened. So that was a belief that he'd created, and he kept using that to self-sabotage himself. So do you have any beliefs that you hold that might be blocking you from achieving what you want? Is there anything going on for you? Is that something that happens to you, or maybe you've had it in the past, maybe you've overcome it? So, I eventually became much better at back to my own self, because I was like, well, I need a new job, so I've got to get over this. And I can't remember exactly what I did. I did quite a few affirmations, and I was practicing my interview responses, so that when I did go into the sessions, I would start believing in myself again, because I knew I could do the work. I was just focusing on the bad interviews, but I knew that I could do the work. And yes, and I did get a job. Yay. So do you have any beliefs that are holding you back? Can you put a name to them? So when you think about your success, is there anything that you are that's blocking you? Is there something that you really, really want, but you can't see yourself getting it because of something that you've put in the way, some kind of obstacle that you've put in the way? If not, that's okay. I know I'm asking you lots of questions. I want this to be interactive, but I'm bombarding you with questions, so maybe they're all too much. So a few more slides for you. It's better when this is actually going on YouTube and social media. Yeah, videos. No, a lot of people say, I don't like myself on video. But yeah, the first thing is to do the video, do it for yourself, and then do it again, and then do it again, and then do it until you are reasonably comfortable with it. And then put the best one on YouTube, or the one that you're comfortable with. Social media, yeah. I remember the first time I saw myself on video, actually, the first time I heard myself being recorded, I did stand-up comedy. I had to make people laugh, and I couldn't watch it. I just couldn't watch it because you're a private person. You're probably an introvert, probably a little bit reserved. So it's huge. Yeah, I totally get that. But I guess depending on what you want to do. So I'm talking to someone who says they're a very private person. So this is huge, going on social media, going on video. So what you could also do is not show your face and just record your voice to get yourself comfortable, and just have some slides and just record over the slides so that you don't show your face. That's a good thing, a good start, but maybe I can give you some more tips at the end as well, so when we switch off the recording. So there's usually small actions use time, and it sums up a lot of time. I lack time. Yeah, that time thing is I always say choose time. It's entirely up to you. When something's important enough to you, you will choose time. If it's not that important to you, you'll figure out a way to kind of make excuses. Oh, that's great, Mylene, that you that helped you. Just a few tips, but I can share some more when we take the recording off. Yeah, Catalin, it's a personal thing. We never have enough time, but we choose what we want to do with our time. So that's quite important. But I don't know your personal situation. I remember talking to you about some other stuff before, but which actually this leads us nicely into self-talk, because time is one of those things. People say they don't have enough time, but small things take time, but you've got all the time in the world, so to speak. You're not going anywhere soon, so do the small things. Don't try and think about the big picture. Do the small things and see how you get on with doing those small things and finishing one task at a time, or a few tasks at a time. So that's, self-talk. This is important, it's imperative. But what I find is, especially when I'm working with my clients, when they come to me, I've got a client at the moment, and she's got a few things going on, and she puts all this stuff in her head. She becomes overwhelmed, and when she plays them back to me, there's all this, I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to do this, and what happens is, when you're so involved in your own stuff, you can't take a step back and have a conversation with yourself that's rational and reasonable and logical about the things that you want to do, or the things you want to do. And sometimes it's important to offload it to someone else so they can feed it back to you and help you make sense or prioritize what it is that you need to do. But self-talk is the biggest thing that stops people. It denies or creates your power as well as your beliefs. So, what does your self-talk say about you? So I recognize when I'm saying things to myself that aren't helpful. So if I've got a goal in mind, or something that I want in mind, or something I want to do, I recognize now, because I've been practicing for so long. Obviously, it's what I do for a living, but because I've been practicing so long on myself, I recognize when what I'm saying isn't helpful to me. And I ask myself, I literally have conversations with myself, sometimes in my head, sometimes out loud. Was that helpful? Is that going to take you to where you want to go? And I can be quite stern with myself. Like, if it's not helpful, then I have to sit down and write out what would be a more helpful thought process. So your self-talk, and I love this question. Would you speak to someone else, a good friend, a family member that you love? Would you speak to them the way that you speak to yourself? If someone came to you and said, I want to do X, Y, Z, would you say to them, oh, don't bother doing that, you're no good, just procrastinate for a little while longer, or you're useless, you're not good at that? Would you say that to someone that you love or someone you care about? But yet you probably wouldn't, but yet we do this to ourselves all the time. We're not particularly nice or kind to ourselves. So for those of you here who want something, and your beliefs or something's holding you back, you're sabotaging yourself, start becoming aware of how you speak to yourself. What are the type of things that you say to yourself? Are you encouraging, or are you bringing yourself down and really stopping yourself or hindering yourself from taking action? So like that kind of defeatist attitude, or are you quite kind to yourself? So I've shared this previously on different programs or different workshops I've run. And these are some of the types of things that we say to ourselves. We use this language on the left, I can't, I could never, I don't know enough, I won't make it, I'm going to add, I don't have enough time on there. That's a great one. What if I fail? I'm tired. I'm not good enough. I'm not good at, I'm useless. When I hear people saying these things, it breaks my heart, because sometimes they just don't realize what they're saying. Procrastination, you would never recommend it to anyone. I see how I do it. You would encourage someone to be more practical or more action taking. So someone just said procrastination. If they saw someone else procrastinating, they would be more encouraging, but yet they procrastinate, and berate themselves for not doing something themselves. So tell themselves off. So this, if you see on the left there, you know, this phraseology, I've put the kind of a kind of counterpoint on the right, so an opposite point, or an opposite perspective on the right. So excuse me, I just had to cough there. So I can't, I don't know how to yet, because we always have to learn something. Before you can do something new, you have to learn how to do it. So I don't know how to yet. That yet gives you hope. I could never. I've learned new things before. If you start thinking about the things that you've learned previously or done previously that you never thought you could do, you've managed to get through them because you wanted them enough. I won't read them all, but again, have a look at these and just look at the difference in the language. What if I fail? I'm determined to succeed. Just rather than seeing the worst case scenario or catastrophizing, you're looking at how you can be more successful, how you can succeed, how you can at least give it a try, take some form of action. So these are just really good phrases that are very helpful. Again, take that screenshot if you need to. Yeah. My knowledge is growing every day. And literally, if you catch yourself in that situation, panicking because everybody else seems to know more than me, I don't know what I'm doing. My knowledge is growing every day. Just build on it. You can't arrive at the end before you are at the beginning. Yeah, you've got to start, and then you take steps, and then you go forward. When you're going on a journey, you can't just wake up and be there. You've got to take the steps to get there. Literally the physical steps, whether you're in a car, a bike, a train, an airplane, walking, you've got to journey, you've got to get there. So whichever way you choose to look at it, it's really important to break things down and do it step by step. So this is a great self-talk, just to realize the types of things that we say to ourselves that aren't true and aren't particularly helpful. And for me, self-talk, it's really powerful. It either creates obstacles instead of opportunities, or it does create opportunities because you can't see the obstacles. So I encourage you to start opening doors for yourself where you are. If your mind is creating obstacles, reasons why you can't do something, what's one small thing that you can do that creates a better opportunity for you? That's the attitude I look at again with life. And I guess I've always been like that. I've always been a go-getter, and even if I fail, it's okay. And I literally say, it's a fail because it didn't turn out how I wanted it to, but I learned some valuable lessons. It's a classic, but really important, so that you don't do the same thing again. So what does your self-talk say about you? Is it empowering you? Is it championing you? Is it saying, okay, let's try, let's do this, let's at least figure out a way to make a start on your journey to what you want, or what you say that you want? So if you want peace, if you want self-love, if you want to make lots of money, what does your self-talk say to you about that journey? When you're looking at your level of success, are you encouraging? Are you mean to yourself? Are you unkind to yourself? What does your self-talk say about you? And how can you start recognizing when you're not being particularly kind to yourself? What can you start doing differently to be a little less mean to yourself? Yeah, that's a good one. I know my next steps. Never mind how slow I'm going. Every step is a step. Brilliant. Love it. Love it. I'm determined to be successful, to become successful. My knowledge is growing every day. Wonderful. So what does your self-talk say about you? You can share that one with me at the end in the Q&A. I'll ask you if you're willing to share with me what your self-talk says about you. And it sometimes with the self-talk, so we have this inner wisdom that we don't realize we have it, especially when we're worried about something, or looking at how we're not good at something, how we're not great. But we have this inner wisdom that actually knows the answer. But because we spend so much time with the negative self-talk or telling ourselves we can't, we don't call on this inner wisdom. And I always say worry takes away your creativity. Worry takes away your resourcefulness. When you're worrying, you can't think clearly and you can't see the answers, which is also why sometimes it's good to offload your worries to someone else, because usually someone else can see your answer and when you can't. So I always say, no matter how bad you feel, if you're low, you're sad, you're worried, you're anxious, no matter how bad you feel, seek someone out that you can speak to. And make sure it's someone that you trust, someone who's patient and someone who's kind, that you can share it with, even if you don't feel particularly joyful, but just so you can offload some of that that worry, so that you're not in so much pain. Because once you start clearing the worries and the clouds in your head, you start tapping into that inner wisdom. Which is really important. And we all are wise. We all have answers. We all have the ability to create resources. But sometimes we just don't see it because we're spending too much time figuring out, thinking how bad we are. We're procrastinating how much time we don't have, what we're worrying about everybody else. So we then stop looking, turning to our inner wisdom. So don't forget your inner wisdom. It's really there, even when you don't think it is, it's there. You just can't see it. So let's move on now to some practical action steps. I've shared the background of what you can do. I've given you some food for thought. So what practical action steps can you take? So I'm going to just share 3 simple strategies. They're not difficult. They're quite simple. I'm not saying they're easy, but they are simple if you stop and take the time to do it. So if you are someone struggling to go somewhere, do something, get stuff done, schedule time. So yesterday I had a client and she had lots of stuff going on. She's got to move, she's got to get a new job, she's got to sell, she's got lots of stuff in her house, she had to get rid of it. And she just was overwhelmed with everything that was going on. And we had the session, and quite simply, I said to her, right, tell me what you've got to do. So she did. And then I said, right, put a header on each of them. And I want you to schedule the time that you need to do it. Really simple, really basic. And what I included in there with her was I scheduled worry time, because she was worried about everything she had to do. So I said, well, if you insist on worrying, I can't stop you from worrying, but you can only do it between the hours of X and Y. So schedule your worry time. And as soon as we had this conversation, just this very simple conversation, it's not complicated, the weight lifted on her. And then she started coming out with all these solutions. So when she said, when I have my worry time, can I go and walk in the she lives in the countryside and lots of greenery. Can I go and walk in the countryside? And I was like, how wonderful. So rather than staying in your home, looking at everything that you need to do and worrying, you're going to go out, get some fresh air, have a walk, see the beauty. And I bet you she doesn't worry when she's out there. And that was scheduling her worry time. So that's just fantastic. She started being more creative as we got through the session, just because I helped her offload what she was worrying about. So when I speak to her next week, I'll hear what happened and what work got done. So whatever you need to do, schedule it. So put it in your diary. So be realistic for yourself. So if you have something you need to do, so between the hours of 9:30 and 10:30, I'm only going to do that. And then once that is finished, take a break, do something else, take the day off, whatever you need to do, but schedule it. If there's something personal you want to work on, something that will help improve you, if it's inner peace you want to work on, schedule it. So I started getting up at, I don't like mornings. I really don't like mornings. Anything before 7 o'clock is like, it makes me shudder. But I recognized that I had wanted to do, working out is important to me, and meditating has become more important to me as well. So I now get up at 6. I do 20 minutes to half an hour of meditation. Actually, I do my exercise first, and then I do the meditation, so that I can do everything and get started for my work at about 8:30. I had to schedule it. I had to literally put it in my diary. So schedule your time for what you want to do. Super, super important. No excuses. Schedule it. It's life-changing. Really is. You're the master of your ship, so you know what you need to schedule. Even for the people that say they don't have enough time. Awareness and acknowledgement. There are certain things, this is number 2 for your tools and resources. Quite often we have flaws. We have fears, we have flaws. And what happens is we kind of ignore them. We pretend they're not happening, or we look at them and say, oh, I'm really bad at, or I'm not very good at this. I'm really fearful of X and Y. But then we don't do anything with it. So I think it's really important, if you've got a fear, a worry, something that's holding you back, something that needs some mind work and or mindset work, become aware of it. Become aware of the fact that you're doing it. Become aware that it's something in your life. Don't just sweep it under the carpet. Put it there so that you know it's there, and it starts to have less power over you, especially when you write it down. So write down what you're fearful of. Write down what you don't know. Write down what it is that you've got to do. Write down the wonderful things as well if you need to. So become aware and acknowledge if you've got a particular fear. I don't know, some people have money fears. Some people have a fear of becoming ill. Some people have a clutter fears. Some people have, worrying about the future, worrying about what the war is a big thing at the moment. Just write it down, get it out of your head, because when it stays in your head, it kind of eats away at you, and it has more space to breathe when it's in your head, and manifest and get bigger, because you're feeding it more worry and more energy. So just get it out of your head, write it down. So become aware of your behaviors and what's going on for you, and just acknowledge it. I acknowledge that I'm fearful of whatever it is. Write it down on a piece of paper, tuck it away, and carry on with your day. Really important, very powerful, especially getting rid of your worries. That's really, really quite amazing. And then number 3, identify one thing you can do. So you've got something that's going on that's important for you, whether it comes to your success, whether it comes to something you're worried about or you're blocking out. What's one thing? Identify one thing that you can do, that you can take responsibility for. So identify it and choose it to take action. What's the action step that you can take? Even if it's, I don't know, read a book, or ask someone about it, or listen to a podcast. So identify what you can do, a simple step, but you can identify that. So the first thing is schedule time. Secondly, depending on whatever you need, whatever you want. Second thing was awareness and acknowledgement of whatever it is that's going on for you that might be blocking you. It might even be something joyful that you want to share. You can also write that down, because that will also uplift you. And then identify if you've got something that's blocking you, something you're not good at, something you want to learn, something you want to improve, something you want to be better at. Identify what you can do, your first step to take you on that journey towards your own success, whatever your success looks like. And I'm going to leave you with this question, because people worry about things a lot. And I'm not saying that you worry here. That might not be something you're doing. Maybe you're quite joyful. But what would it mean to you if you decided to no longer worry, to never worry about anything again? What would it mean to you? Just give me one word. What would it mean to you if you decided to never worry about anything again? So I won't say my word. I've got a word, but I'm not going to say what it is. Thank you, Robin. Bye. She's gone. Oh, he's gone. Oh, I love it. Peace, freedom. Unconscious. I think that's unconscious. Ease, mental freedom. Yeah. Mine is liberated. I'm going to put that in here. just so I can contribute it. I would feel liberated. So freedom, love that word as well. So you can work on these things, but it does mean one step at a time to do that work, to feel more calm, clarity. Because when you're calm and you're experiencing clarity of thoughts, your decisions are made with more emphasis on what it is that you want to achieve. You're more solution driven. You're more about troubleshooting rather than getting involved in the stuff that you worry about. Let's have a look. One more word. Living in present moment, which is now. Love it. You wouldn't worry. Yeah, because worry is in the future. Don't even get me started on the power of now. So yeah, I'm a big fan of mindfulness. Huge fan of mindfulness. That's in my world. So choose one thing you're going to do differently that you're going to work on today towards your own version of calm, clarity, for your version of success. Choose one thing you're going to do, you're going to work on after this session. What's that one thing? Wonderful. So coming up to the end now, if you've got a specific question that you want to ask, I had quite a few people emailing me last time, and I was able to put some suggestions together. If you give me a good case for what you want to change, I was able to put some suggestions for action steps for specific situations, because what I'm sharing today is might not be right for you or your situation. So feel free to get in touch, or just, I don't know, follow me on Instagram if you want to. I'm always doing videos, or I'm not always doing videos. I do stuff there, not a lot, because whoever it was that said they don't like social media, I'm not a big fan of being on social media all the time, because I think it does rob me of my time, but I do appear there sometimes. So I'm going to stop the recording now. So you are most welcome to unmute yourselves and join in with the Q&A.